Lisa Ring joins us now. She was just Democrat back in 2018 elections. She ran for Congress in Georgia's 1st district, and she's going to do it again. Lisa, welcome back.
Thank you. Great to be here.
All right, good to have you. So first, let's talk about what happened in 2018, and then let's talk about what we're going to do again in 2020. It was about 58 to 42, roughly, the election. But you did about 5 points better than people predicted. So you obviously reached more people than was expected. So first, let's talk about that. How did you wind up doing significantly better than the pundits had that race?
I knew that we would. I thought we would do even better. And if we had done something about election integrity, which we'll talk about next, the results would have been even better. But what was needed was that grassroots campaign where we were out in rural Georgia, knocking on doors. We were in Savannah and in the urban areas, in low-income housing, and we were really just trying to empower voters. And that made a huge difference because when we talked to people one-on-one, they were very receptive to what we were saying, and they felt empowered. They felt engaged in the process, which was my goal. We ended up doing better than any Democratic candidate has done in 30 years in this district. We outraised all other Democratic candidates in 26 years, and we didn't take any corporate money. And all of our money and all of our support, well, nearly all, came from the 1st district. It didn't come from outside. So all of this we did without help. We did on our own. And I'm very proud of the people of the 1st district who volunteered and did the grassroots organizing that we needed to do. Now we have to move forward with what we've done and accomplish even more. And I have a plan for doing that. It's just a matter of having the time and the resources to get it done.
Yeah, so look, let's try to change that. It was almost all from Georgia's 1st district right now. So everybody, LisaRingForCongress.com. So if you're anywhere in the country, you could also do small dollar donations to people who are running uncorrupted with no corporate PAC money. You could also volunteer, and you see the Act Blue page. The links are always down below in the description box if you're watching later on YouTube or Facebook. Okay, look, Lisa is a military spouse, a military mom, a former corrections officer, mother of 4, and was also a Bernie Sanders delegate. So I'm interested that you're doing better than folks suggested, because the conventional wisdom, Lisa, is that if you're a centrist in these red districts, and you can tell by the result that it has been historically a red district, that you would do better if you had a more pro-corporate, more big business friendly platform. But that has not been your experience. That's not what you're hearing back from the voters.
No, and I knew this when I first decided to run. The reason I ran was because I knew that people were ready for a progressive candidate. We have run centrist candidates time after time, and they always lose. And it's because they're not standing strongly for the people of this district. What people want is a representative who actually knows about the issues that they care about and is going to do something about them. I don't think that centrist politics works anymore. It may have worked at one time, but by trying to appeal to people who are essentially Republican, you're not going to win the Democratic base. So I knew that what we needed was a candidate who would stand boldly for progressive issues, because that's what the majority of Americans want. Most of the people in this country want a universal health care system. Most people want background checks for gun sales. Most people are progressive in this country. And if you take away the labels and only talk about the issues, educate people, involve them in the political process, that's how we're going to win. And prove to be right. That if we can remove the remaining barriers, we are going to flip this district. But we need help to do that.
Yeah, and so look, you outperformed all the centrist Democrats for the last 30 years. So there's ample proof to your claims. So how much of a difference do you think voter suppression made? Because you're in Georgia, and obviously Georgia was quite famously or infamously practicing a lot of voter suppression in that state.
I think it made a huge difference. We had places here in Chatham County where people waited 4 hours to vote, and they ended up leaving. They have kids to take care of. They came out, after work, whatever. And that was just one portion of it. We had in rural areas, there were plenty of machines. Certain urban areas, we didn't have enough machines. We had people who didn't receive their absentee ballots until it was too late. We had people that were purged from the voter rolls. We lost thousands of votes, and that would have made a significant difference. It certainly would have made a difference statewide in the race for governor and so on, but it also made a difference in the congressional race in this district and all over Georgia. And unfortunately, I just went to a panel at MIT of other candidates that ran across the country. There were about 32 candidates, and we all had similar stories about voter suppression. It seems to have been a plan, and it was nationwide, and it's something that we have to address, and we have to do something about it if we're going to keep winning elections.
Yeah, I think it's fairly obvious that the Republicans have a plan to do voter suppression across the country. They don't really hide it too well. They've been saying it since 1980 that they don't want a lot of people to vote, and they've been passing laws to try to suppress votes as much as humanly possible. I think the only ones that are confused about it is the mainstream media, who like to call things even when they ain't even. But let's talk about your strategy to win, because you still do have a good amount of distance to close here. You did better than everybody else, but 57.7 to 42.3, there's still a lot of room there. So how do you think you can make up that ground this time around?
There are two things that we have to focus on. Well, actually three. I was recently elected as the Democratic Party chair of the 1st District, which will give me the platform to do the work that needs to be done. The first thing that we need to do is to watch the elections, to go to the Board of Elections meetings in every county. We have 17 counties here in the 1st District. So if we have people who are going to the meetings, watching the process, and being a part of it, who can actually be on the Board of Elections, we are going to ensure that we have a fair election process in the 1st District. So that's the first. The second is to continue with the work that we've been doing in rural Georgia. We made significant strides, but we didn't go far enough, and I need more help. So we need more people, hopefully from the more urban areas, going into the rural areas and helping to organize. And we need more candidates running for all different seats, local and national as well. We had quite a few candidates that ran for the first time in the last election. We need more. We need a bigger army to really flip things, turn things around, and make this a democracy that's representing us. So there's a lot of work to be done, and we need the support. We need people who are 100% on board and not just helping, when they can. This is important. And we are at a situation where we're fighting for the soul of this country. We're fighting for a democracy, and we have to keep going. We've come so far. This last election, we made gains throughout the country, but we need to go even further.
Oh, you need volunteers. Did I mention lisaringforcongress.com/volunteer? Did I do that? Okay, I think I did. Look, volunteers made a difference in a lot of the just Democratic victories, and so we know for a fact that it does work. I want to talk about your opponent for a second, Buddy Carter. So how bad is Representative Buddy Carter?
He's one of the worst. He votes with the current administration most of the time. He is a strong proponent of all of their policies. He was recently named to a committee on climate change, I believe, which is shocking because he, until recently, didn't even admit that it was happening, and now he says he isn't sure that he thinks it's not man-made. So he's on this committee for climate change, and he'll be making decisions. He gets on the most important committees, like the Energy and Commerce Committee. And he is a pharmacist. He has close ties to the pharmaceutical industry, to the healthcare industry, and his policies show that. He does not represent the working people of this district. He represents corporations.
Yeah, that sounds about right for all the Republicans. And Lisa, he's not on those committees because despite the fact that he doesn't believe in man-made climate change, he's on those committees because of that. It is funded by the fossil fuel companies to make sure that we don't ever do anything about the catastrophe of climate change. And that's why you're absolutely right that it is imperative that we get back out there and fight for candidates that are going to represent us. And as we saw across the country, it is entirely doable. And Lisa, one last thing I'm just going to say as a comment is, I'm really glad that you're running again, because what people underestimate is the power of name recognition. And you've built up a little name recognition in your district, and so it's important to build on that base. It makes the chance of winning this time around much greater. So I love that you're back in the fight. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for joining us on the Young Turks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.